Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Dram show with me, Chris Goodrum. As you can see this evening, back in the tasting room once again. This evening, let's go Japanese again. As you know, I have a fondness for Japanese whiskey, so I thought it was about time to do another episode of the show on. And tonight in the fourth quarter, to use coin an American football phrase, as the NFL kicks off this weekend, we will be going head to head with the two Bourbon Barrel bottlings, one from Yamazaki and one from Hakushu, so that should prove to be quite interesting. The other two that I've chosen for this evening's tasting is the Yamazaki 12-year-old and the Hakushu 18. So I think quite an interesting lineup. So without further ado, I mean, I've introduced obviously both of these distilleries in previous episodes of the show, so I guess there's no real point in repeating oneself. So less waffle and more drinking, as they say. Anyway, let's drink then, or should we say, let's taste.
And leave a shell from where you never...
Right, okay, shall we start with the Yamazaki 12-year-old? Now, I mean, the first time I tasted this was a number of years ago, in a bar in Chester, in actual fact, and I kind of got the dregs of the bottle. God knows how long that had actually been open for, but needless to say, it probably wasn't a very fair tasting. So it's probably time to give this a proper airing then. So let's see what the nose gives us then, shall we? Little bit of sherry cask, fairly supple and light, quite elegant. It's got a nice depth of fruit to it. A little bit of spice, touch of freshness, a little bit of a perfume note coming through now. Little bit of white flowers, but it's a sort of almost like a two-part nose. You've certainly got this kind of dense core of sherry fruit, and then above it a slightly sort of more aromatic character. A little bit not ferny, but possibly a little bit leafy. Lovely spices, giving it a bit of air. It's getting a little bit more sort of dusty, a little bit more earthy in character. So yeah, this is a lovely complex nose. Rather quite enjoyable. Okay, shall we see if the palate is enjoyable as the nose then, shall we? Sherry cask is quite prevalent, very earthy and nutty sherry. Lots of spice, a little bit of licorice, a little bit of herbs, but not a great deal. It's more sort of spicy, more tannin, more of the sort of the wood character. Dries quite a bit towards the end, a little bit of bitterness, but it's staying quite sort of spicy. Quite dry, again sort of slightly dusty. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. It's relatively unassuming. It's kind of easygoing, but it has a kind of, you know, a nice sort of sherry character to it. So I think as a start for 10, I think that's pretty good. I like that. Okay, let's move on to the Hakushu 18. Right, we're expecting a little bit more depth, a little bit more complexity, and given the fact that it's got quite a steep price tag, hopefully very enjoyable. So, shall we see what the nose is like on this then, shall we? Oh, that's good. Now, I mean, it's displaying the sort of that ferny, brackeny kind of Hakushu character in absolute spades, but oh, that's just some molten honey, really mature, slightly sawdusty American oak. Oh, that's deep. That is very, very deep. That is gorgeous. Really, really well put together, well aged nose. I mean that oak character is just sort of. I mean, you would swear that was probably a lot older than 18 years old, and well, there may well be some older spirit in there, but oh, it's just so deep. And that honey is absolutely gorgeous. But the oak is certainly, like I said, it's certainly not kind of dominating. It still retains that sort of, like I said, that ferny, leafy Hakushu character that we certainly found on the 12-year-old. But oh, that's a fantastic nose, absolutely stunning. Right, okay, out of time. Oh, that's soft. Smooth, it glides. Quite a bit of oak up first. Yeah, you've got yeah, a bit of toffee, a bit of caramel, sort of nice soft vanilla-y oak. Doesn't taste as mature as the nose would imply in actual fact, which is quite surprising. And then through towards the end, certainly you get again the sort of leafy, minerally, herbally kind of character. Really long. Certainly has a kind of an almost granity kind of finish. Certainly you can feel that right on the sort of like the edge of the mouth, and really finishes fresh and clean. Which again, it just goes to show how good the balance of this particular whiskey is. That is absolutely fantastic. I really like that. Yeah, just all round really, really well balanced. Yeah. Right. Okay. On to the battle of the Bourbon barrels then, shall we? Both identical, both aged obviously in American oak, both bottled at 48.2%. We'll start off with the Hakushu. Now they don't have an age statement, so I imagine they're going to be relatively young malts. We'll see how these compare against each other then, shall we? Right, so Hakushu first then. Yeah, a lot of oak, kind of obvious I guess really on that one, but it's soft, it's creamy, vanilla-y, but again, you know, it's just got, the spirit itself has just got so much kind of leafy, herbaceous character which really cuts through all that oak. Slightly perfumed, little bit of white flowers, touch of spice, just sort of really gently spiced. I mean, you can feel it's I mean, both of these two, the Hakushu 18 and the Yamazaki 12, are bottled at 43.5 to be precise. So you can certainly feel on the nose that sort of extra alcohol, a little bit of a prickle, but you know, again, nothing unpleasant. Getting a little bit of earthiness now. And it's just amazingly well balanced. You know, yes, it's got a lot of oak, it's got a lot of dense vanilla, but you know, the distillery character just comes through in spades. I mean, you know, it obviously takes something quite extraordinary to dampen that that character down, but absolutely fantastic. Really, very, very good. Right, okay, time to try and power then. Quite milky and vanilla to start off with. Really intense. Quite youthful. A little bit of spice. Again, sort of the distillery character of sort of herbal leafiness is coming through quite strongly. The oak does kind of bitter a little bit at the end. It does kind of start to sort of impinge to a certain extent. Maybe sort of putting a little drop of water with that would mitigate that, or then again on the other hand it may well sort of like bring it out, but it is a bit of a dry finish. But in saying that, you're kind of left with this sort of light honey, almost sort of light sort of orange blossomy, very light orange blossom honey, just sort of coating the mouth, and again that sort of, you know, vanilla oak character sort of is there also. I mean, I love this. I think it's just absolutely fantastic whiskey. I mean, it's, I don't know, maybe about sort of 10, possibly 12 years old, I would guess. I mean, or certainly possibly the oldest component of this, because I imagine it's a vatting. I don't get the impression that there's a lot of really, really young whiskey in or the spirit in that. You certainly don't get that kind of a youthful sort of cereal kind of character. So it's got a, you know, might even have a little bit of an older spirit. You never know. But certainly it's got some real interest and real character, and Hakushu really does sort of stand up to the oak really nicely. That's fantastic. Really like that. Right, okay, and finally, let's see how the Yamazaki Bourbon cask stands up to that. Okay. A lot more oak. Lot more oak. Huge amounts of vanilla. You know, we're verging on a sort of like a bourbon-like territory now. It's just really rich, big. So it's almost got a sort of a slight kind of rye kind of note, which is surprising. A little bit of a sort of grippiness, some tannins, but that is monstrously oaked. Quite earthy. I mean, I love it. It's a great nose. I'm just not quite so sure that the distillery character is coming through as much as it did on the Hakushu. Plenty of spices. I mean, it's just a fantastic malt. But a lot of oak. You've really got to love your American oak to appreciate this. I can tell you that for a start. Right, okay, palate time then. That's pretty tannic. You can feel that as you're sort of swirling it around in your mouth. You can just feel the tannins are starting to sort of almost kind of like stick to the tongue almost. Not a lot of distillery character, it has to be said, and the oak is very, very drying. There's a lot of tannin, but quite a bit of spice as well. Little bit of bittering at the end, and it's not. You don't get the sort of. I mean, on the nose, it had that certainly that sort of sweet bourbon-like character, and you don't really get any of that on the palate. You just get, you know, a whole wodge of tannin, drying, a little bit of nuttiness. I mean, you know, certainly the quality is pretty good, but I really think that sort of the oak has kind of got that one by the nads, so to speak. But you know, not bad. Not bad at all.
You hide when I know you lie.
Right. Okay. Shall we sum these up then? Okay. So Yamazaki 12. Yeah, it's a nice whiskey. It's got a bit of a sherry character. Probably more sherry character than distillery character, but I think sort of, you know, all told, you know, a really pleasant 12-year-old malt, you know, a good kind of start for 10, so to speak. Hakushu 18, oh my god, that's fantastic. Stunningly good. I love that. I mean, certainly the nose has this just a wonderful, mature kind of character to it. Doesn't taste quite so old on the palate, but, you know, again, just amazingly well balanced. A really good dram, you know. Not cheap. I mean, I must say all four, well, three. We're not doing the Yamazaki Bourbon Barrel. We certainly do the Hakushu Bourbon Barrel, and the Hakushu 18 and the Yamazaki 12 are all available to purchase on our website, www.gauntleys.com. And you know, I think I can't sort of rate Japanese whiskey highly enough. I think you know, definitely worth looking into. And the two bourbon barrels, well, they're both the same price as each other, both in the sort of like the high or mid to high 70s. And I've got to favour the Hakushu. I mean, it just has the balance. You know, yes, there's a fair amount of oak, but it's just wonderfully soft, wonderfully creamy. And the distillery character is just coming through in spades on it. The Yamazaki, I mean, it's not a bad whiskey at all. I mean, if you like Yamazaki, then I'm sure you're going to enjoy that. But to me, it the balance was slightly shifted in favour of the oak. And although the nose I thought was really appealing, had a real sort of American bourbon-y kind of character to it, the palate was just too dry. It was too bitter. There was too much tannin, and you know, just wasn't quite in the same league as the Hakushu. So there you have it. I mean, I'm sure some people will disagree with me on that one. So, but you know, I think for me, I think the Hakushu kind of wins that by a field goal, I should say, to coin an American football expression. So. Just before I go, one thing I do want to remind you of is the latest edition of the Whisky newsletter has been emailed out this afternoon. So if you're not on the mailing list and would like to be on the mailing list, just drop me an email to rowan@gauntleyWine.com, or just log on to our website and use the contact form on the website. Stuffed full of interesting bits and pieces, comments, and you know, my usual ramblings and waffling, shall we say. So, like I said, you know, if you're not on the mailing list and you'd like to be, just get in touch. If you want to look at my tasting notes on these and all of the other Japanese whiskies, obviously, that I've tasted, and obviously all the whiskies I've tasted over the years, you can check out my WordPress blog. I guess that's about it for this evening. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the show. And all that's left to say is good drumming and good evening. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Good Dram Show with me, Chris Goodrum. As you can see, this evening we're once again back in my tasting room. So, good job I only just started, isn't it?